Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And today we are being joined by LaVera, the star of Terrifier 2, which is now out, still in theaters, and streaming on Screambox. Lauren, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm really excited to chat with you. First off, congratulations on the success of the film. Uh, to no small part to your performance in the film. It was just amazing. Does everything seem kind of surreal for you now that the film is out?
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for this film to come out since I wrapped in 2020, October 2020. So it really did go from 0 to 100 in a month's time. It's been wild, but I'm super grateful for everything that has happened and continues to happen, and for everybody that continues to support the film. Yeah, surreal is probably the best way to put it.
Now, before we continue, I gotta ask you, what was it like working with David, who plays Art, when he is in full costume gear and in character of Art the Clown? You got to stand next to him, you got to go into battle with him. What was that feeling like?
Dave is fantastic. Luckily for me, and probably for everybody else on set, he's not so much a method actor in that after cut, he's just Dave again. He doesn't stay in character, thank God. Um, he's in character. It's like nothing you've ever seen, and to be so close to that. I mean, the practicals are incredible, and that's a credit to Damien's work. But it's really Dave that brings the character to life, and the way he manipulates his body, the way he I mean, he's also just hilarious too, and it's hard not to laugh at some of his antics while I'm in the scene with him. Yeah, he's such a wonderful scene partner, and he really makes my job easier in being genuinely creepy and scary. So I felt like there was a lot of truth in my performance because of Dave.
I've had the pleasure of meeting David. I've interviewed him on this show, and I love one of his lines. He's like, "Before this, I was waiting tables." So yeah, this has made me stop waiting tables, and I absolutely love it. He is one of the nicest guys out there, and I'm so happy for him. Now, waiting can sometimes be your worst enemy. You said you wrapped shooting in 2020. You had to wait 2 years. In those 2 years, where you basically had to keep quiet about everything, you couldn't talk to anybody, and sometimes that can be your own worst enemy. During those 2 years, did any doubts, fears about the success of the film creep into your mind?
Oh, constantly, consistently, and that's not because I doubted my crew members or because I doubted Damien because I didn't. It was just that the waiting itself was like, oh my God, what's going to happen with this film? Is anybody going to ever even see it? And all of our hard work will be for nothing. I mean, that's where the doubt really stemmed from because we really killed ourselves to get this film done. We really worked our asses off. But I mean, I do think that it has paid off and it does continue to pay off. So I am really grateful for that.
Exactly. This is a great example where patience definitely played off. Now, you and David are undoubtedly the stars of the film. Sienna is a brand new character introduced to us in Terrifier 2. A very important character, and I cannot state that enough. Did you have to go through a vigorous audition process with Damien before you booked the role?
It was pretty standard, to be honest. I had to do a self tape, which I did at home with my coach, and then I had a second callback which was also a self tape, and then an in person audition with Damien, Elliot, and Casey, who of course booked the roles. And it was more so a chemistry read, and that was really chill. I think I met Damien outside while I was waiting because I arrived super early, like the dork that I am, and I didn't realize that it was him. And we were just chatting, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm the creator of the film," and I was like, "You're Damien?" I didn't realize it was him. And we were already just getting along and just like talking about who knows what. I think horror films. So yeah, it was off to a good start, and we connected really quickly and easily. And I'm just really happy that he is such a wonderful person. It made my job a lot easier.
Now, like I said, Sienna and Art are the two main characters. They have to keep this film going, or else it doesn't work. This movie has a lot of stuff going around with blood, guts, and gore. As an actress, How did you sort of put that in the background so you can focus on Sienna and the moment that Sienna is in throughout the entire film?
I did have a good amount of time to prep for Sienna. And for all of my characters, but especially Sienna, I like to make either a binder or a journal. And I make those decisions pretty early on about my character. And I also had a lot of discussions with Damien, I think to a fault. Like I probably bugged the hell out of him. Bathroom was like, what do you think about this? Do you think Sienna would do this? I was really, really interested in Sienna and what made her tick. So by the time I was on set, and I mean, as an actor, you just kind of have to trust your work, trust all the work you put in beforehand, and then just kind of let it go and let whatever happens happen. And
Exactly.
and it's because everybody was so loose and nimble and eager to work on set, I think it just made my job a lot easier.
Now, when you first read about this character, when it was presented to you, either when you read the script or when you had a chat, how did you perceive Sienna? How did you view Sienna? What was your first impression of Sienna?
Yeah, I did get a breakdown of the character. I can't really remember exactly what it was, like, it's like artsy teen, something like that. And my first scene that I auditioned for Sienna was a scene between Sienna and Barb, which was her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I connected with her really quickly because she, at that time, she was being raised by a single mom, and it was kind of an argumentative scene. They have a bit of a tumultuous relationship. So, and I'm no stranger to that, being raised by a single mom, and I know what that dynamic is like. So I feel like I was able to connect with her
Mm-hmm.
like right off the bat. The challenge for me was seeing what it was like to have a brother. I didn't have a brother growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know what that was like. But Elliot Fulham, who plays Jonathan, really, really helped inform the decisions that I made in terms of being an older sister. So yeah, I forget the question now, but hopefully I answered it.
You did. It was what was your first impression of Sienna? And that was great. Now, moving on, when you were coming up with this game plan on how you were going to portray Sienna, what kind of backstory did you build as to what was going on between Art, the killer clown, and Sienna? There is a connection there that is sort of hinted at throughout the movie. How did you resolve that, when it came time for you to play Sienna?
I think Sienna's in a really interesting situation in that she's discovering her relationship with art in real time with the audience. So I just more focused on Sienna as a person as opposed to what art meant to her.
Yeah.
I think is just as surprised as the audience when art shows up and she has this weird interaction with him. In terms of the ending, I still don't think Sienna is fully aware of what has happened to her. I think she just took on that responsibility because her biggest goal was to save her little brother's
Yeah.
life. So I think and I hope that we can explore that more in the future. But I think Sienna is just as clueless as anybody else in terms of her seemingly like weird connection with.
Yeah, yeah, she's sort of finding out what's going on as things are coming out. Now, you mentioned your brother Jonathan in the movie, who is played by Elliot Fulham. He did a great job as well. You two had a great dynamic chemistry together, brother sister. Now, when you were working with Jonathan, did you guys have chats, discussion on how you were going to play that big sister, little brother role?
Surprisingly, no. I think I already had booked the part, and then Damien asked me. He's like, "So, what do you think of this kid Elliot? Like, do you even like him?" I was like, "Yeah, I think he's perfect for the role." It was really strange that he even asked for my opinion, and I was grateful for that. And I watched his audition before that, like his self tape, and I just understood who he was as Jonathan immediately. And we kind of had to get started like pretty quickly. We didn't
Yeah.
really have to connect. But so everything you see on screen is just like our natural chemistry. We're much closer now. I hang out with his family all the time. I constantly go over there, and his mom makes like delicious vegan meals. But before then, we just had to figure it out on the fly.
Awesome. Now let's talk about Sienna's costume. It's become a thing of its own. It's become its own character in a way. On social media, it's a huge topic. You play you put on the kick-ass Princess Warrior Xena outfit. First off, what was it like putting that on? I mean, describe that.
The first time was amazing, and I loved it immediately. I just fell in love with it. However, the more I had to wear it, the more I had this disdain for it. And I think that's also in part due to the artist that was making it had to drop out for whatever reason. So it was unfinished. So it turned out that our wardrobe and makeup artists had to come together, even though it wasn't their job, and keep the costume together. So a lot of it was kept together with like literal duct tape. Like it's like, oh, this is duct tape, it'll work. He was right, but it was also very uncomfortable, and it wasn't really lined on the inside. So the material that you see on the front was the same material on the back. So I got a lot of blisters, a lot of bruises, a
Oh.
lot of that thing. But I'm honestly really surprised how good it looked on screen because of how uncomfortable it was. I hope I never have to wear it again, even though I will. But yeah, I did love how it looked, and the first time was great, but everything after that was a nightmare.
I think it's going to be a pretty big Halloween costume for 2023. That's just a hunch of mine.
It's better made for the mass public because it was not made really well.
Now, there's a mysterious aspect, another one, in regards to your father. We don't really find out until towards the end of the film actually what happened to your father, how he died, his drawings, how do they relate to art. How do you think that affected you playing Sienna? Did you try to incorporate that, your feelings for your dad who died in such a horrible way into the character?
Definitely. I think there is this kind of looming sense of doom over Sienna at all times. Like she's definitely an angsty teen. And I didn't really have a great relationship with my biological father growing up. And I didn't really know him that well. And I had some other father figures in my life that weren't, really great. So I was able to bring a lot of my own experiences to Sienna, which I'm always really grateful for, to be able to inject my own life because it just helps me find more truth
Hmm.
when searching for a character. But yeah, definitely. I think it was something that was kind of always on our mind. I think, he's probably been dead for about a year or so. So it's not like, oh my God, she's obsessed about it still. But I think it's something that still affects her pretty deeply.
And
On all,
Jonathan as well, your brother.
absolutely, absolutely. I think even more for Jonathan because he was at such a tender age, and I think he hasn't let it go still. So yeah, definitely.
Now, this movie, from the moment it was released in early October, it got instantly a big success. The critics loved it, the fans loved it. There is that a little criticism group of people in regards to the gore. Okay, now when I watched this, I knew exactly what to expect. It's a Terrifier film. It's going to be a lot of blood, guts, and gore. So if you go in knowing what to expect, uh, you're going to get exactly what you bargained for. But there was also a good story put in as well, which for me, made it even better. Now, in regards to the gore aspect, do you have any feelings? A lot of people messaged me and wanted me to ask you, how did you feel about, the extreme gore in this film?
I actually really love gore and horror. I mean, not always. I mean, I think to a point it can be too much. And when it comes to like I have a really hard time watching like sexual assault movies. That's something
Yeah.
that I don't watch. But when it comes to like gore that's so over the top to the point that it's almost comical, I can really appreciate that as an artist
Hmm.
because I watch it and think about the artistry that's put in. Like for example, can we talk spoilers?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no rule, but yeah, you can talk spoilers. If
One
Damien gets upset, I'm gonna blame you.
Okay, yeah, you can blame me.
Okay.
But the out for a while, like it's fine. This is a spoiler. When Brooke gets acid to her face and it starts to bubble, they used condoms for that. And I was like blown away by the innovativeness that went into some of the thoughts of the art. So every time I watch it, I'm just blown away by the artistry that goes into it. I see it more in like a artist perspective as opposed to like, oh, this is just gratuitous gore. I'm just in such awe with what everybody was able to accomplish with the little budget and with, they used condoms. Like, come on,
Yeah,
that's wild to me. Like condoms are cheap, and they use that, and it worked. So
yeah.
I'm just impressed,
Well,
really.
and you know that Damien has he's a makeup artist. I mean, that's part of his background, and so he's definitely good at that. Are you surprised now, a little bit a month into the release of this film, on just how successful it has been so far?
Yeah, it continues to surprise me. I even found out that like it's going to be in theaters this weekend, and I
Hmm.
didn't think it would. So it continues to be expanded and extended because of fan demand, and that's really just a testament to what horror how we all connect to horror and how people will connect to horror even if it is a niche type of horror like
Yeah.
really gore horror. So I'm really grateful about it, but yeah, I continue to be surprised. I wasn't expecting. You have no idea what kind of life a film that you sign on for will take on after you sign on for it, so it's continues to be a surprise.
And this is sort of a testament to Damien because some of the gore in the film, like the blood that was coming out, I think he did it particularly to look sort of in a comical sort of way so people don't take it that seriously. He could have very easily made, in some scenes, the blood look a lot more realistic, a lot more gory. So I think he really sort of played into it to sort of lighten some very dark moments. That's my opinion. But, I'll ask him about it. Now, so far, this you are not new to acting. You've been doing this since at least 2016 and before. Would you call this your breakout role at the moment?
Oh gosh, I mean, I don't really know. I guess it that will be determined in the next year or something. I have been getting some really wonderful role offers, a lot of scripts in my email that I still have to even go through tonight. So it has opened up a lot of doors, which I am very grateful for. Breakout, I don't know. I don't really know yet. I guess we'll see, but I think
History will tell.
it will, yes, exactly. But I think it definitely has provided some wonderful opportunities for me.
Did you guys shoot this entirely in Staten Island?
No, actually, we did shoot a little bit in Staten Island. We also shot in Canajoharie, New York, so upstate New York, and like this really small, deserted town. But we also did film in Philadelphia, which is where I grew up, at the Fright Factory, which is
Ah,
where the whole ending is in the Terrifier, that haunt that they all end up in. Was at the Fright Factory, so all those set pieces were actually just part of the actual haunt in Philadelphia.
now from start to finish, because of the limited budget, how long were you on set for?
From October 28th, 2019 to October 2020. So a year on and off
On and
because I
off.
stopped in from March to October. I don't think
COVID.
yes, because of COVID. I don't think I did anything in between, but from October to March, I was working, and then October again, I was back.
We're out of time, but I do want to ask you a final question. On your IMDb, there are some more projects that are upcoming for you. Is there anyone that we should be really looking out for? Anyone that you're really excited about?
Well, the one that I can talk about right now that's in post production is The Fetus, and I was able to work with the wonderful Bill Moseley for that. I play his daughter,
Ah,
and he's fantastic. And I mentioned Julian Curtis earlier; he's wonderful as well. So yeah, that's one thing I can talk about. I'm under NDA for some others that I'm really,
okay.
but can talk about that one.
Lauren, these 20 minutes have just flown by. I want to thank you so much. I'm so happy on the success of the film, the success you're getting from the film. Your performance really is brilliant. When you get into this industry, you really start viewing movies from a different lens. And as I was watching the film, I really noticed your performance, and you were just spot on in making this film so great. So congratulations, you did a fantastic job, and Damien did awesome in picking you to play Sienna. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
Not really. Watch the film. I hope you like it. If Gore's not for you, don't watch the film.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm just so happy to be here, and thank you so much for having me. And hopefully, I'll talk to you again in the future.
Absolutely. I want to thank our guest, Lauren LaVera. I want to thank our audience, those of you who are tuning in live, and those of you who'll be tuning in later to watch this not live. Again, the movie is called Terrifier 2. It is still available in theaters, and you can find it streaming on Screenbox. Thank you again on behalf of Lauren and myself. Stay safe and stay walking. Bye, everybody.